the whole rhythm of our world, especially here in Britain, we see very distinct seasons, and there is that cycle of winter and spring, summer and autumn. And I think that life can be a lot like that, and certainly in Ecclesiastes 3, a very well known passage, it tells us for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. And then it goes on to list all the different kinds of things that there's a season for. And this is true. And some seasons are extremely difficult, aren't they, and very challenging. And other seasons are like summer. When you just feel that sense of God's presence with you in a very tangible way, and life feels good. And I've experienced many of those different seasons in life. But there is one thing, well, probably more than one, but there's one thing in my mind that there is always a season for, and that is mentioned in many places during the New Testament, but I'm particularly directed to Ephesians 6, verse 18, where it says, "Pray at all times, on every occasion, in every season, in the Spirit, with all manner of prayer and entreaty. To that end, keep alert and watch with strong purpose and perseverance, interceding in behalf of all the saints," God's consecrated people. And I really had just a very short thing to say here, which was that I can think of one particular season in my life. I could pick many examples, but I'm just going to pick one season when I really, really appreciated, that's not even a good enough word, I really, really knew the prayers of the saints. So I'm just going to draw a bit of a distinction here, in which will sound like I'm contradicting what I said before. But back in 2004, 2005, my family, my husband and I, walked through an extremely prolonged and difficult set of circumstances, which involved a lot of time in hospital with our twins, and one of our boys was in an induced coma on life support for 3.5 weeks. And I tell you, that 3.5 weeks felt like forever. But that was just one chapter in many, many chapters during that year. And the phenomenal thing was that we knew the faithful prayers of the saints, and we felt carried through those most difficult seasons by the faithfulness of our church. And yeah, that was just phenomenal. So the distinction I want to draw is that yes, it is always the season to pray. So we all, whatever we're walking through, have the opportunity to pray on every occasion, in every season, no matter what we're going through. However, sometimes circumstances are exceptionally difficult, and I would categorize that particular year of our lives as exceptionally difficult. And I knew God was with me and I knew his faithfulness, but I wasn't able just physically to reach out to him in the way that I perhaps am at other points in my life, and I needed carrying. A lot of our existence was hospital, home, kind of in a cycle that repeated, and it was grueling. And we were often faced with periods where there were intense decisions, and our son was very near to death on multiple occasions. But the prayer of the saints carried us. And so I would encourage us both things really this morning. Firstly, if this is speaking to you in an exceptional time of trial during what is going on with coronavirus, where you are facing life or death, then tell people so that they can pray faithfully for you. And again, any other kind of prolonged or extreme circumstance in which you are struggling. We need the prayers of the saints. And I tell you what, during that time, I felt like the gales and the storms were howling round me. A bit like a picture of a sea that is wild and tossing around. And the waves were crashing and the winds were howling. But I just knew that my feet were on the rock. And I really felt that a lot of that was to do with the prayers of other people that were faithful in praying. But also, and equally, if you know people that are in those circumstances now, then pray for them faithfully. Make it your priority to pray. We only get glimpses of the power of prayer. So I'd encourage you, be faithful in praying for those that are in need.